Hi team, it's me, Dr. Sylvia Bollie, America's Obesity Doctor, here for another edition of Fit in 15, where FIT stands for Fitness Inspired Through Teamwork. As you know, I am passionate about helping busy people, especially working women, obtain and maintain our happy, healthy weight through practical lifestyle interventions. So each week I come to you with a different topic to help us all on our weight loss journey. As someone who has struggled with weight issues and still is trying to maintain that happy weight, I get it. And so I try to come up with help encourage us all through practical lifestyle interventions. So this month is September, a fourth of the year left. We are back to school, back to work after vacation season. And so I thought it would be a good time to review those basic nutrition concepts for this month, and I call it Bite to Basics. Ha ha ha. Okay, I digress. So I have, for the past few weeks, I talked about the first week we talked about breakfast. Secondly, we talked about lunch last week. And then this week we are talking about snacks. So first, let's check in on last week. How did you guys do? Our weekly Fit Focus, which is our weekly challenge, was to de-stress our lunchtime, because for me, I recognize that lunch is all about de-stressing. So the way I do that is by packing my own lunch, by picking mood foods to eat. So those foods that tend to boost our mood naturally. And then lastly, prioritizing my lunch, making sure I actually get a break, even if it's just a minute or 5 minutes each day, stepping away from my workspace and just taking a moment to breathe and relax. So I hope you were able to do that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, please look on my blog. You can look on which is on my website. The link is in the bio. And then you can also see the previous video from last week. So this week, guys, like I said, we're going to be talking about snacks. I have a confession. I am a lifelong snacker. In fact, I would rather sometimes eat snacks than eat real food. I know, but it's true. So I recognize on my weight loss journey, and for those of you who don't know, I was an emotional eater, lack of physical activity. 2015, got my act together, lost 40 pounds in about a year and a half, and I have maintained that for about a year now. Yay! November will be my 1 year anniversary from reaching my happy weight. So I recognize through experience that I had to get control of my snacking and to embrace, if that was what worked for me, that's what I needed to do. So I want to talk about snacking, but before I get to my story, my opinion, what worked for me, let me put it out there, because I know a lot of you guys have read some of the recent media stories, or you've read the book, The Obesity Code, which was a bestseller, is still a New York Times bestseller. So you're probably like, what is she going to tell us about snacks? Because I heard that snacking isn't good. And you're right. I thought that I had coming up in med school and such, we had always been trained. I guess the classical training recently is that we should have 6 small meals, or you should eat frequently throughout the day. But now there's a lot of controversy, a lot of data saying that maybe that is not the best way for us to lose weight, certainly, or maintain that weight loss. Again, for me, I always want to give you guys both sides of the story and then let you decide what works for you, because truly the data is, for when it comes to weight loss, is always conflicting. It really is. And so part of this weight loss journey is really learning what works for you and following through with that. So yes, some people will say that you don't want to eat frequently, meaning that, the traditional teaching now is that maybe you should have your 3 anchor meals, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then in between a snack, which will put you at eating about every 2.5, 3 hours. In the Obesity Code and some other literature, people who promote fasting or intermittent fasting, they say actually you should only have 3 meals a day and no snacks in between, because by having snacks frequently, you are keeping the insulin levels, which is a hormone that causes our bodies to release sugar. You're keeping it constantly, take in sugar or regulate the sugar. You're constantly keeping it up. So you're keeping that level of sugar in your body high and leading to insulin resistance and other problems down the line. So their argument is not to have those meals. When you look at the studies between the two, comparing people who only ate 3 meals or people who ate every 6 hours, they call it grazing, the net weight loss between the two groups was the same if they were eating healthier snacks. So that to me says that you need to know your body and you need to know what works well for you. So for me, I break down snacking like this. You need to know the why. Why are you eating that snack? You need to know the when, and you need to know the what. So what are you snacking on? And so that's what we'll talk about. So number one, taking a step back for snacks, why are you snacking? So physiologically, really, if we eat a full meal, it should in theory take us 12 hours to get hungry. Believe that? Oh my gosh, I know. Is that crazy? Because I feel like I feel hungry like within 3 hours of eating. Real talk. But physiologically, it should only take us 12 hours. But depending on the content of what you eat, you may feel those hunger pains sooner than the 12 hours. So I think it really depends on what you are eating to know whether or not you'll be hungry. So number one, let's examine the why. We'll stick to the why. Why are you eating? Are you actually hungry? Are you feeling physiologically hungry? Then if you are feeling physiologically hungry, you have to ask yourself, when was my last meal? What did I eat for that meal? Was it enough food for my nutritional needs? We've talked a bit in the beginning, if you look at some of my earlier videos, most of those are on Facebook Live, about the contents of what a whole or nutritious meal would be. So you have to ask yourself that. Secondly, there's this whole thing of mindfulness. So if we're not physiologically hungry, then the second thing is, are you thirsty? I talk a lot about thirst. A lot of times thirst is misinterpreted as hunger. If for breakfast, for instance, if we drink coffee, I talked about this in the breakfast video, coffee, teas, those are diuretics. They're going to pull fluid out of us. And so they're going to make us feel thirsty, which can often be misinterpreted as hunger. So you want to make sure that you're not thirsty. Moving along, the next thing, and probably my favorite because as an emotional eater, I had to learn this, is mindful eating. Why are you eating? Are you eating because you're bored, mad, sad, or because you just are used to eating habitually at that time? So it's really connecting to the psychological reasons of why you're eating food and why you want that snack at 10 a.m. every day. Is it because that is your most stress point, and so you are, rather than taking a breathing break, you're comforting yourself with food? So think about the why. So that's the why. The next thing, if you decide that, okay, I actually am hungry, thinking about the when. Most times you're going to feel a dip in your sugar if you're, and again, these rules are for non-diabetic patients. These are for people who have a normal metabolism, for people who do not have a medical condition. I'm talking all of this that I'm saying. So if you are feeling, usually you're going to feel it about 3 hours after you've eaten your meal. That's because the body is really smart in a person who has normal insulin metabolism, everything, of getting that sugar into the cells. And you may feel a dip in that, in your glycemic level. You could feel that. Now, it's controversial, and I know the obesity code people will say that do you actually need sugar at that time? Because if you check your blood sugar, those of us who do not have diabetes or another medical condition, we're not going to be hypoglycemic, meaning low sugar, but we may be sensitized to it. I know for myself personally, this is why I found that I needed that mid-morning snack, because if I have my breakfast, which I try to have a lower carb breakfast, mostly high protein, by about 10 a.m., so that's going to be about right at 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, I'm going to feel that dip in energy level and need something. So that is when I will have my first healthy snack. And we'll talk about the what for this next. I feel like this is the drum roll we're leading up to the what, because everybody wants to know, what should I eat? Just tell me what to eat and I'll eat it. But I'm really big into the why, because the why really makes the what successful. I like that. The why makes the what successful when it comes to weight loss and maintaining and obtaining your happy weight, happy, healthy weight. The next thing, so let's get to it. So what should you eat for a snack? So usually, we've moved away from calories because we know that calories are not a great way of gauging nutrition. But I think for me, it helps to set a guideline of how many calories, of what my net energy consumption, I guess, because calories are just energy, what my energy consumption for the day should be. So you want to make sure that your calories for a good snack, which is like a supplement to a meal per se, is between 200 to 300 calories. Because if you think about it, then let's say if your happy weight is 150, we'll just say, you can put it there. If your happy weight is 150, or your happy healthy weight, which for somebody who's about 5'7", 150 would put you at a normal range BMI, you would want to only consume net 1,500 calories a day as a rough and dirty rule. If you decide to have 200 to 400 extra calories as snacks per day, that means only 1,100 of your calories are going to come from food. So somewhere between, so 1,100 if that is, if you do it, or if you go up to 500 calories in snacks, only 1,000. So each meal should only be about 350, 300 calories, which is not a lot for a meal. So you can see why people argue against eating snacks, because it's very easy to get that extra energy in if you're not burning it off. Now, why snacking may work for me and why I may actually feel hungrier, as you guys know, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I'm a runner, so I consume a lot of extra calories. So presumably that's where some of that is going, and why I'll actually be feeling hungrier at times. But if you're not doing intense physical activity, that is meaning that you're not getting more than 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity per week, meaning you're moving so fast you can't sing while you exercise, then you probably don't need a lot of extra calories in the form of snacks. Now, if you do decide to snack, what you snack on is super important. Most of the things that are labeled as snacks nowadays are very high carb, refined sugar, processed food. You want to stay away from those. I tend to go for vegetables, and this was a learned process. You've seen my healthy substitution video, but I tend to go for vegetables, red sweet peppers, that's on the mood foods list. Celery, I actually like the crispness of it. I think it's the water and it's very refreshing for me. Fruits, apples are part of the mood food. Also raw nuts, so almonds. I tend to get the 100-calorie pack. So you want to go for things like that. On my blog, I've made a list of some other healthier, lower calorie snacks that are also rich in nutrients and will help give you that energy boost without slowing you down. But avoid the processed carby things. So guys, I always try to get you out of here in 15 minutes because I know we're busy and we have a lot to do. So it's that time is drawing near. So just to summarize, snacking's very controversial, but listen to your body. Only know the why you're eating a snack. Are you actually hungry? Physiologically, do you feel actually hungry? Are you actually thirsty? And are you mad, sad, bored, depressed? Are you being mindful when you eat? Know the when. Usually it's going to be 3 to 4 hours after you have had a meal, your anchor meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So don't tend to snack early or later. Maybe you need to bulk up your meals. Know the what. So avoid refined carbs, high fat foods that are empty calories that are not going to help you. Try to only stick to at least 200 to no more than 300 calories for that snack that you're having. So that's all I have for you. And our fit focus for this week is to evaluate your snack game. Make sure you're only snacking because you're actually hungry. Do all these things that we just talked about, and to focus on the why, the when, and the what for your snacking. So please, guys, tag me on Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'd love to know what you're doing, see how these tips are working out for you. Once again, it's me, Dr. Sylvia Bollie, America's Obesity Doctor, here for our weekly fitness inspired through teamwork. I look forward to hearing from you and helping us all stay fit and reach our happy, healthy weight. Have a great week, guys. Bye.